Welcome to the latest Judgement YouTube video, and today I'm going to be talking about warband construction. All players have different ways of constructing their warbands. I'm going to help you share the way I do it and see whether it helps you get better at constructing your warbands. This is a method I've used for a number of years and it always seems to hold me in good stead. And we're going to talk about the basics of warband construction and then we'll actually construct a Krognar warband. And I'll give you my thought processes, and this is the one I'm currently playing at the moment. So as of patch 2.5, so you get to see what I'm playing, 2.5 patch for Krognar. The first thing for warband construction is some of the basics, right? So if I just put up the basics here. So the way I look at it is an effective warband has some melee damage, some range damage, a tank, and some kind of support model. I think those four are very good at a good way of just having a basic way that a warband can work. There's obviously a lot of different ways that you can do this, and you can forego some of the different elements to skew in a certain area, depending on the meta and what's going on. And obviously I'm talking about a 5v5 construction here, but the concepts can be much the same. When you're playing 3 versus 3, you can't even fill the 4 categories I've put up. So there's a problem straight away that you need to overcome. But normally in those, you definitely want to have, I think in 3 versus 3, you definitely want to go with a tank. And you definitely have someone who can do damage. So traditionally, I'd like to have a melee damage dealer, a tank, and then the other one can be a swing, depending on what you want, depending on what the makeup of the warband is. In 5 versus 5, I always try to have all these 4 elements in my core 5, and then covering, I'm talking about veto here as well. So not immunity, and obviously not tribes, because I don't have to worry about being banned, but I'll talk about how you play into tribes and things like that as well. So this is basically what I do. You've got those 4, you pick those 4, and then you have 3 slots to play with in your 7 to cover any potential bans and to give you a bit of tactical decisions you can make depending on what your opponent's playing. And also you have to be always, there's the Judgement with 51 or 52 heroes now in version patch 2.5. There is meta considerations that you need to take into account, particularly now that tribes have come, because a lot of the tribes have a skew, right? So Minotaurs, for example, are a low agi skew. They've really got bad, they're not good into fire because they've got a lot of healing and regen. So unless you want to try to take advantage of that. So if you're playing a lot of Minotaurs in your meta, then you need to think about that, what that looks like, playing into that, and picking heroes that can counter some of the things they've got. Orcs are very strong in melee, but they've got very weak range. So once again, if you're playing into an orc meta or you think you might come up against them, it's often good to skew against those as well. So, but just I'm trying to be as generic as possible here, and then we'll work through a really good all-rounder Krognar warband that I'm currently playing, and that will give you an idea of my thought processes. So these are the basics of a 5v5 warband in veto. Now, if you're playing tribes, you still can do this. Some of the tribes give you no options, right? So, undead have 5 models, for example, today, but orcs have 7, humans have 9 or something, elves have 8. So in those warbands, you do get to choose which way you want to go with some of these decisions that you want to make, same as demons, although not all of them fill every role. So if I get rid of that basics and then look at what my warband's going to look like. So I'm going Krognar, and for me, I always go with Rakir when I'm playing Krognar. So he's a very good base to start with. He's just a great all-round hero. He fills your damage dealing slot. Shadow Orbs are amazing. And of course in Krognar you can get the Umbra Sphere, so you can have another model who doesn't use Shadow Orbs, can also put Shadow Orbs down for him to use. And they also give you a Shadow Orb down in another location to let you do your effigy power, so you can actually move the whole warband across the board. So with Krognar, you always want to have, end of turn 1, you want to have a Shadow Orb on the left of a Shadow Orb on either side of the battlefield to give you that tactical ability to move the whole warband as you go. I am going to do future videos on turn 1 strategies and general strategies. I'll start to do some filming of the tabletop with miniatures showing you some of my tactics. But today, it's warband construction. So, okay, Rakir, great start. Now with him, I like to have at least 2 melee damage dealers in my back. If I'm doing a generic warband to cover the ban. And so I immediately think, well, where do I want to go with that? And I also always start with the ones that are in God, the champions of the God. But often it could be better to go outside of God. Krognar is actually a God where going outside of God is good because the warband bonus of 1 AP effigy recalls is strong for a lot of models. Pretty much any soul gazer would love having that, right? But now that the gods, we've got so many heroes in the game, for me, the gods normally cover everything I want to do. And I normally try to stick in gods so I don't have to worry about, you know, gods not being able, heroes not being able to take advantage of the EP or can't equip with the magical artifacts. So if I go to the next hero, for me, it's Yorgorth. He's a really good complementary hero with Rakir. Rakir's very direct damage to one model. Yorgorth is a 2 or 3 model spread on his activations. Yorgorth can't use Shadow Orbs to port around, but he gets +1 mel when he's next to a Shadow Orb, so that's a good synergy. He can put Shadow Orbs down with a 1S, which I find he gets off pretty much every time he activates. So he can drop a Shadow Orb on, you know, other side of the board that can bring Rakir in. They're really 2 really good heroes to go together. And just having a bit more health pool and regeneration built in is quite good. He's got steady built in as well. If I'm playing a heavy knockdown warband, you know, you're playing into Marcus, you're playing into Thrommel. There's so many these days that can knock down. Your Barnascus, you know, dwarfs in general. Dwarves have Zafin, Thrommel, and Barnascus that can all knock down. So I would often run Rakir with the Boots of Stability, and therefore my 2 damage dealers in melee both have steady, both have regen. It's a really good combination to have. So in terms of priority, I'm not going to talk about first turn too much today, but when you're prioritizing which hero to get level 2, both of these want level 2, but I think Yorgorth's the one that's going to want it the most. So, but I won't go too much on that today. But yeah, very good. They're both also heroes that benefit from the Vorpal Blade, but you know, you just need to work out which way you're going to go, and often you might want to have one of them. Rakir might want to have, he's good, very good with the Armor Shredder as well. So that's another option you can do for him if you want to give the Vorpal Blade to Yorgorth. Right, so I've got 2 melee damage dealers. My next thing I want to do is look at a tank. Now, there's a lot of good tank options. Oh, sorry, I'm going support. So, not just support, Cradle is amazing with Rakir and amazing in Krognar, right? So, she's a really strong support hero, massive amounts of healing, can, you know, get someone out of trouble, an ally, and put them, you know, to a Shadow Orb somewhere. She's a Shadow Orb user herself. It opens up amazing first turn opportunities. If you run her up, put a Shadow Orb down, Rakir can port to that Shadow Orb and charge on the first turn or steal a monster. There's so much synergy here with her and Rakir, and she's just amazing on her own. You know, she can also at level 3 she can put temporary health on a model. She can remove templates or tokens. Massive versatile. She's amazing. So when you're talking about taking Rakir, taking Cradle is obviously a wise choice. Another model with regen, not regen 1. She's also got leech 1, so a lot of healing. She can heal a bunch of times. You need to get her Shadow Mist. So basically you want to be running her maximum Shadow Mist as much as you can. So yep, so there is Cradle. Then I go to my support. So this is going to be my 4 bases covered, but instead of going melee damage, range damage, I've just gone to melee damage, but then I've got support, now I've got a tank. Lots of options with tanks in Krognar or in the whole game. This is one where you can look outside of Krognar if you really want to, like, you know, you can take Shan or an Asbrand or someone like that. That just brings so much utility into the game. Marcus is a good one as well because, you know, you can pop armor, you can pop You can pop the walls where you want them. But I find that Lugdrug's very good for me. He's a very good synergy with Cradle. And he just protects her a lot because she's Agi 3, Res 1. So, she can be shot a lot. So Lugdrug for me, he's just so good. You put him in places, people don't want to hit him. And he just provides so much utility. So he's really good. I think he also gives me a little bit of range, even though it's RNG, it's only reach 3. But I've used the gun a lot. It's armor piercing. It's got 5 on a crit. So don't, just throwing the odd dice here and there is pretty good. So Lugdrug's my guy. There's my 4. Now, when I'm thinking for me, I like to have a warband with an ideal 5 heroes. If it's 5 versus 5 with veto, I'll pick 5 heroes which I want to play with, and then I'll have 2 heroes that provide me cover in case of bans. Now, this has become an even better strategy. I've done this all my Judgement life, but now that tribes are a thing, you often get the chance to play your ideal 5 because you're playing into tribes and there's no banning from them. So I find playing the tactics where you pick your ideal 5 in your warband is really strong now because you get so much opportunity to do that where in the past you often didn't. So to round out my ideal 5, I've got 2 melee aggressors, I've got a great tank, and I've got one of the best support models in the game, all in Krognar. I look at the Krognar Soul Gazers because I like playing a Soul Gazer. And then you've got some great options. You've got Cruel, you've got Zarin, who's the Avatar, and you've got Grail. Now for me, I'm going currently with Grail. He's another fantastic partner with Lugdrug, as Lugdrug's ward. And so you put him next to Lugdrug, it's very difficult, but you put the braces on Lugdrug. He can do protect me into Lugdrug. Lugdrug can stop getting pushed away. Then Lugdrug can take the hit, the second hit, and then he can actually give him 2 res. That combination is really, really strong. So I think Grail's a no-brainer for me. He can also port people around to soul pits. When you've got him and you've got Shadow Orbs, you've got Cradle, you've got Rakir, it's incredible how much mobility is in this warband. It also packs a decent punch. It's got decent resilience. It can take some damage. It's a really strong warband. Any of them can 1 AP out of there if they're in trouble. It's crazy. So this is a really good ideal 5. And then so from this point, I'm thinking, right, what other bands I worry about? And because you've got 3 big categories, like you've got support Soul Gazers, put them in a category. You've got tank, then you've got your melee or your damage dealers. You've only got 2 reserves in when you take 7. So you can only cover 2 of those bases. So in my mind, the way I look at it is I normally try to go to hybrids now to say that I can cover multiple locations and still get away with it. So the first one I've done is actually Kogan. He's a great, so if Rakir or Yorgorth get removed, he's a great substitute for either of those. His melee damage is underestimated a lot. It's decent, but his range damage is fantastic. He's also a model you want to get to level 2. So if you do put him in, you need to think about that as well. But he's a great hero in this warband. He can, on the EP turn, if you place him in the right spot next to a Shadow Orb, and he's got an aiming and you're going first or whatever, he can just blast someone. He's got 15, with Battle Cry, level 2, aiming, with the Heart Seeker, he goes to RNG, what is that, 6 goes to 7, 8, I think he's 8 or 9, 8 I think it is, with a knockdown and armor piercing, he's doing some massive damage. So I find him a great substitute here. Another regen models that you've got there, so decent health pool. So I'll be finding him really good to back in. And what I like about him is he creeps into my ideal 5. Now, in certain maps against certain opponents, I'd drop Yorgorth for Kogan. So I've done that before as well. So you can also think about that. Now, looking at my 6 I've got now, Kogan, okay, is great. He's only my range damage is not that good, and still, I find I really like to have range damage when I play the orcs. I find that's one thing that really they're missing. So I was thinking, right, I'd like to get a hybrid that's tanky, that can do some more movement shenanigans, that has a good shot as well, can shoot at a pinch. And there's one candidate in the Krognar that's fantastic in this, and that is Kavado. So he can, if Lugdra gets banned, he can drop in good as that. He's not nowhere near as tanky, but he is pretty tanky. He's immune to poison, so he's great into playing an enemy Rakir or anyone who likes poison. So he's just very good. His telekinesis of enemies is amazing. He can move someone into range if they've already activated. Move them into range of a Kogan, for example. He can also do mind control, which is great on a Yorgorth, on a Rakir, or in a Kogan. He's just such a great all-rounder. And in some, like if Grail is banned, he's a Soul Harvest 4, which is high for me. So if Grail is banned, then I'll often drop Kavado in there. He'll cover up for Lugdrug. And he's a great support model, so he covers for Cradle as well. I also, if I'm playing into a Uvexis or a Maltique, I've got a lot of very low Soul Harvest in this Warband. So he's another one that's Soul Harvest 4. So I might sometimes drop a Yorgorth for him and run him and Rakir as my kind of damage dealers. I find that works as well. So great all-rounder. So there's my 7. So looking at it here, I've got my ideal 5 and I've got the 2 heroes that can slot in. Now, my ideal 5, like I said to you, it's not completely strict all the time. I will sometimes, slot the others in if I'm against certain enemies. But all round, this is a great Krognar Warband, a good one to learn. Now, if you're starting out in the game, I don't recommend starting with Krognar. You can if you want, but it takes a lot to get used to all the synergies of how you're going to use all the movement benefits and the synergies between the Shadow Orb users and all things like this. So it's good. So I'm going to move on. So that's the video for this. I find great warband, really strong. If you've got any questions about it, please ask. I'm happy to give any tactics tips. My next one is going to talk about what I do for first turn on different map scenarios using this warband, and then we'll talk about general tactics in the game. So hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do a bunch of videos now just on learning the game, tactics, how I play. Hopefully it's good for new players and veterans alike. You might pick up something yourself. I'd love to hear from you, what you think about what I've said and what tactics do you do that are different with your warband construction and what works for you. But I've found this works for me. It's worked before tribes are in, and the ideal 5 really works really good now playing into tribes. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up and let me know if you've got any questions or comments. Peace.